Hey everybody, how are y'all doing? Happy Friday. So we're going to continue with talking about the system support through Young Living with essential oils and products and supplements. Today we're going to talk about the immune system. We're going to talk about what it is, what it does, what it looks like, and the oils and supplements products that you can use to support natural immunity. So I mentioned in the video on digestive support that the immune system doesn't look like any other system. You have a clear picture of what your digestive system looks like. We know where it starts, we know what it does, we know what the end looks like, we know what the respiratory system looks like, we know what the cardiovascular system looks like. The immune system is a little harder to define. So we want to look at what exactly the immune system is. It is composed of lymph nodes and vessels, so your entire lymphatic system is involved in your immune system. It's composed of lymphocytes, which are cells that are lymph cells, your bone marrow, which produces your B cells, your white blood cells. We know that. Everybody knows that white blood cell increases mean there's something going on in the body. The body's trying to fight something off. And some of you may not realize that your skin is actually the first line of defense in your immune system. So if we're getting really specific, your skin is a part of your immune system too. It's a physical barrier that keeps out different toxins, toxic substances, bacteria, and things like that. Some things can get inside still, can absorb through your skin. You can breathe things in, obviously. There can be a breach in your skin or a mucous membrane. So there are ways that bacteria, viruses, funguses, toxins can get into the body, even though our skin is a very good first defense. So your skin and mucous membranes are also part of your immune system. Then we have the thymus, which is a structure right in the middle of the lungs above the heart, and is where your T cells are where your T cells are created. The formation of T cells happens in the thymus. And then your tonsils and adenoids are also a part of your immune system. So there's two types of immune defense. So within all of these cells and structures and pathways within the immune system, there's two ways that the body defends itself. The first is going to be your innate defense system. Your skin is part of that. It's something innate, means it's something that you are endowed with at birth. You have it when you're born. You just already have it. Your skin is a part of that. Your mucous membranes, obviously. But internally, there are some things also that are included within your innate defense system. Your phagocytes, which literally eat bacteria and other invaders and pathogens. Antimicrobial proteins are part of your internal innate defense system. Specialized attack cells like your natural killer cells, that's literally what they're called, natural killer cells. They're also called NK cells, but that stands for natural killer. That's what they do. That's their job. These cells literally murder cells that have been breached or compromised. So if they've been infected with a virus or a bacteria, or they're a cancerous cell, these natural killer cells are what actually kill those cells off. So you're constantly regenerating cells every single day. You have trillions of cells in your body right now, and every day apoptosis occurs, natural cell death, and new cells take those cells' place. So it's perfectly fine that we have cells killing off other cells in our body as long as it's doing it the way that it's supposed to do, the way that it was designed to do. Your innate immune system has an arsenal of physical and chemical barriers. The killer cells I just talked about, fever, among other things, to keep you healthy. So we look at a lot of things as symptoms that signal sickness, and what it really signals is that our body is healing itself. Fever is a healing mechanism. So that's your innate defense system. So within the immune system, you have the things that you were born with, your skin and these natural killer cells and things like that. And then the next way that the immune system functions is through the adaptive or acquired defense system. So we know that when babies are first born, we've all heard that their immune systems aren't fully developed, their respiratory systems aren't fully developed. You do not have the acquired defense system when you're born. Acquired means you get it later on. So the adaptive or acquired defense system is something that we develop. You can kind of look at this as like military branches, like different things being called out to attack specific things, okay? They go after specific targets. SEAL Team 6, right? That's your adaptive defense system. So within the adaptive defense system, it works in two ways as well. So your adaptive defense system, or your acquired, your SEAL Team 6 and your immune system, you have humoral immunity and you have cellular immune response. Humoral immunity has to do with your antibodies. So we've all heard of antibodies. What antibodies do are go and attack and destroy antigens. Antigens is a collective term for bacteria, fungus, virus, and even some toxins. So your antibodies, if you have adequate antibodies in your acquired immune system, then you are going to attack the antigens invading the body, trying to take over the cells and cause sickness and disease and death. So antibodies are your humoral immunity. Antibodies circulate in the fluids in your bodies. So they are in your blood and they are in your lymph. They are in the intercellular fluid between the cells. So they're floating around between the cells, attacking antigens that are trying to get into your cells, okay? So humoral immunity. The second way that your adaptive or acquired immune system works is through cellular immune response. This is hand-to-hand combat. This is like last resort, right? We tried the airstrike. We tried sending in people and attacking from afar. We tried all of these different tactics for the antigens coming in, whatever the antigen is, the fungus, the bacteria, whatever it is. So now we're looking at hand-to-hand combat. It's your last resort. So this is actual cells combating, destroying, digesting, eating and digesting other cells. So they all work differently. You have hundreds and hundreds of different types of cells. Even within the immune system, you have multiple types of cells that do specific things. And it gets very complicated. It gets down to the point of cells marking other cells for death with certain proteins or enzymes or things like that. There is an actual cell that will poke a hole in a type of cell to mark it for another cell to come along and chew it up, to literally chew it up and digest it. And these are like really barbaric types of cells. They're like little badasses because they chew up and digest these damaged cells, these dead and dying, damaged cells. And then they take pieces of them and they wear them. So it will digest the damaged cell and it will then put out this marker from the cell that it digested. So it's like wearing it as a banner, basically. So then that has to do, your adaptive system has to do with being able to recognize those foreign invaders on down the road. So the reason it wears those things is that so later on, when it comes in contact with another one, it attracts that antigen. It attacks that invader because it has something similar. So they're attracting each other, and then it grabs it and it chews it up and digests it. So that might be a little bit too deep, but your immune system is very complex. It is perfectly capable of working without outside help. Now, we live in a toxic world where we're constantly bombarded with toxins and viruses and funguses and all of these different things, right? And we think by using the antibacterial soaps and by using antibiotics and all of these different things that we're helping the body to do what it's already capable of doing. But what we're effectively doing is creating superbugs, and we're handicapping the system from doing its job because we're junking the body up with a bunch of stuff that's confusing it, and it's not able to do its job effectively. Now, I'm not talking about vaccines. We're not going to start that conversation in this group. But vaccines are actually designed with the adaptive defense system in mind. That was the reason that vaccines were created, because they're looking at our acquired immune system and saying, okay, if we introduce some of this virus, then the body will recognize it and it will be able to attack it later on, which is 100% true. 100% true. But I think sometimes we're too smart for our own good and we overdo things. We do too many and we have to have a thing for everything. And I said I wouldn't go into that, so I'm not going to go into that. But But it's very complex. The immune system is extremely complex and hard to define. So what we're looking at is avoiding as many toxins as possible. That's what we want to do. The immune system works perfectly when there is balance. Very few of us have balance. Nobody's got perfect balance. Very few of us have balance. So we do get sick. We come in contact with bacteria or fungus or virus and we do get sick. Now, how effectively, how completely, how quickly our immune systems are able to fight these things off completely depends on our level of balance. It's number one going to depend on what you're eating, what you're fueling those cells with. Those cells that need specific nutrients and vitamins and minerals in order to grow and develop and to become what they're supposed to become and to carry out their functions they're supposed to carry out. Those nutrients, if you're not getting those nutrients, those cells cannot effectively do their job. So your immune system is going to be weakened. Your immunity will be weakened. So real food is the number one thing. Natural balance is going to come from food. It's going to come from avoiding toxins, which is what we mainly talk about in this group. It's going to come from effectively being able to combat antigens. Okay? So since this group is about oils and products, what I'm going to talk about now are specific essential oils, oil-infused products, and supplements that can uphold immunity, that can assist the body in what it is already innately capable of doing. Now, disclaimer, I'm not a doctor. I am not a research scientist. I am not an expert in the field of medicine or disease. What I am is a personal trainer and fitness nutrition specialist. I'm obsessed with anatomy and physiology. I'm obsessed with the way the body systems work together, the way they affect each other, the way that the body can be compromised and sickness and disease can take over and cause problems, conditions, diseases. So what we're talking about in this group is maintaining a level of health that enables your body to effectively be able to fight antigens, pathogens, disease, bacteria, fungus, virus, and to be able to digest and combat toxin exposure. We cannot completely avoid toxins. I talk about that all the time in here. But what we can do is reduce the amount of toxic products that we're using and reduce our exposure to toxins. So we can stop rubbing it all over our bodies. We can stop spraying it over us. We can stop putting it on as makeup. We can reduce the amount that we're getting in our nutrition. It's almost impossible to avoid it all. But when you reduce the level of toxins in your everyday exposure, you're going to increase your level of health. You're going to increase the functionality of your immune system, okay? So that is what we're talking about in this group. I cannot cure your diabetes. I cannot cure your cancer. I cannot help you with your autoimmune condition or your arthritis. What I can do is suggest a healthier, less toxic lifestyle that will cause your body to be able to fight these things more effectively, strongly, and completely so that you can have a higher level of health and vitality. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the Thieves Blend. We're talking about maintaining immune balance. The Thieves Blend comes in the starter kit with Young Living. It is a blend of oils. When I say a blend, it means it has several single oils in it. The oils included in Thieves are clove. You guys know what cloves are, right? These are all plant-based things. Oils come from plants. We're talking about clove. It has the highest antioxidant value of anything ever, literally. Just go Google clove, period. Go Google clove essential oil. Go to PubMed or PubChem and just start typing in, search studies and research on clove and clove essential oil. And you'll have to do that research by yourself. I have to do it for myself. We all have to learn and discern this information for ourselves because it looks different for everyone. And it's not compliant to say that plant materials can improve health or that they can do anything in regards to treating or curing disease. That's not a compliant thing to say. And they affect everyone differently. So Thieves contains clove, lemon, cinnamon, eucalyptus radiata, and rosemary. All of those things are in the Thieves Blend that comes in the starter kit. Young Living has an entire line of cleaning and personal care products that contain Thieves. An example is the foaming hand soap. So if you saw the articles, the links to the FDA's website, your government's Food and Drug Administration's website, There were several links on there that talked about triclosan, antibacterial soaps, antibacterial sanitizers, and hand wipes. You can dig and dig and dig, and when you get to the end of one of those articles or studies or whatever, you can click on a link to another one, and you can just dig deeper and deeper and deeper. Not everyone has the desire to do that, but I feel like if you say you value your health, or if you have some sort of condition, I would beg you to dig. I would beg you to look into more natural living and reducing toxins, and how doing that can improve your health. So if you saw those research articles, you saw that we were talking about antibacterial soap and triclosan. This is what we're talking about that creates superbugs. So this is the reason that the antibiotics are working less and less to combat sickness, right? Because we're creating these superbugs. On one hand, we're saying we should vaccinate because it builds up the body's immune system. But on the other hand, we're saying you should wash your hands in a chemical antibacterial wash created synthetically in a lab that washes the germs off of your hands, so you don't get the germs inside your body, so you don't get sick. But the vaccines are injected into the body with the very things that we're trying to wash off our hands with a synthetic chemical. It's a contradictory way of looking at the immune system, is what it is, in my opinion. From what I have read and discerned for myself, I feel like it's completely contradictory. So if we're washing our hands with this synthetic chemical multiple times a day, if you use antibacterial soaps, I'm not telling you you're a bad person and you have bad intentions or you're trying to hurt yourself or your family. What I'm saying is I feel like we should all understand what we're using, why we're using it, and what it's doing in our bodies. That is where my passion's at. That's my jam. I mean, I feel like you should really look into the things that are in your personal care products and discern for yourself if avoiding some of these things could possibly improve your health, could possibly reduce respiratory or skin flare-ups, or, possibly improve hormone balance. So that's simply avoiding something. That's not adding anything. So the triclosan and the antibacterial soaps, this is a perfect example. Young Living has Thieves foaming hand soap. We also have Thieves household cleaner. I use one cleaner in my entire house for every surface. So a lot of people will say, this Young Living stuff is kind of pricey. Well, my cleaner comes in a 14 point something ounce container, which is not huge, but it's a very strong concentrate. And I mix up a gigantic glass spray bottle maybe every 3 months, I'm guessing. Like, just think about an average size spray bottle of cleaner that you buy on a regular basis for $4, $5, $6 and something, depend on how natural it is. The more natural it is, the more expensive it's going to be. Obviously, we know that, because the cheaper crap that's keeping us sick is what's right there, eye level, on the cheapest shelf, right? That's just how the world works. It's just how it works. It's all about profits. So I mix up that regular size spray bottle and have to replace it every few months. But the little bottle of concentrate that's under the sink, I don't have to replace that for a really long time because I'm using a capful or two every time I mix up the spray bottle. So it's the way that you're looking at it that's saying that this is too expensive of a lifestyle switch for you. If you're already spending the money in the store on all of these crazy different cleaners, 9 different cleaners for 9 different surfaces in your house, that's what's crazy and expensive to me. That's insane. I use one cleaner. I've been using the same cleaner for 3 years now, and we're very rarely sick. I don't use triclosan. I don't use antibacterial soap. We don't use hand sanitizers. The hand purifier is what, the Thieves stuff is called from Young Living. I use that only at gas pumps and if there's not a sink nearby and I feel like my hands are dirty. Other than that, that's it. Water, soap and water. I use the Thieves hand soap in our house. That's what I have my kids wash their hands with when they're playing with the dogs and they're playing outside and stuff. So that's just one example. Just a couple of Thieves products I talked about. There's an entire line of Thieves products that contain the Thieves blend. So using plants and essential oils for food, cleaning, upholding your health and beautification. That's what God intended for us. He created us and He put us in a garden. So, I mean, if you don't believe in creation, I'm so sorry. That's what I believe to be true. I believe that I was created by God. I believe He put us in a garden, and we immediately started messing that up, and we live in a fallen, broken, toxic world. So if I believe that God created plants for food and medicine and cleaning and beautification and all of that, that's what I'm going to use. I'm not going to use some junk created in a lab that's poisoning my body. So Young Living has products for every area of cleaning and personal care, and they're all infused with essential oils. So next up, I talked about Thieves, and I talked about the Thieves products. The next oils are oregano and thyme. There are multiple other oils that are amazing for supporting the functions of the immune system, but these are going to be the top ones. Oregano and thyme are two extremely strong essential oils that come from herbal plants. You know what oregano is. You know what thyme is. Some of you have it growing in the backyard, or you buy it from the grocery store and you cook with it. This is the essential oil straight from the plant. Essential oils from plants are up to 200 times more powerful than dried herbs. So let that sink in. So a drop of peppermint oil is exceedingly stronger than about 26 cups of peppermint tea. So the little bottle that you get and you go, this costs how much money? This is $20-something. You're using one drop of it. One drop. So if you've got a big bottle that has 250 drops in it and you use one drop at a time, that tells you how much more cost effective it is to use peppermint oil than it is to use peppermint tea, or that it is to use Thieves foaming hand soap or household cleaner than it is to buy bleach and 409 and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So they're very, very powerful. So you're going to need to do your own research on some of these oils, because there are things that I cannot legally say because of FDA laws, because of compliance issues. I cannot talk about properties of oregano and thyme in this group because it would be considered medical or health advice, and I cannot give that. So you have to do your own research and discern for yourself what is right for you. Oregano and thyme, those are two oils that you would be very, very wise to find out the properties of and to do more research on. Ningxia Red is an extremely high in antioxidant liquid supplement from Young Living. Samples of this come in the starter kit as well. It's made from wolfberry. It's got a superfruit blend in it, and it has citrus essential oils in it. Like I said, 2 samples of that come in your starter kit. It tastes amazing to me. The first time I tasted it, it was really tart and a little bit strong. But now everyone in my family drinks it. We drink it at least once a day, if not twice a day. Very, very good for antioxidant support. So antioxidants that we get from our foods, we're not getting enough of them. We all know, if we can use our common sense for a minute, we all know that we do not eat the way that we're supposed to. Even those of us that eat mostly clean and are very, very aware and educated on nutrition do not get the things that we need out of our food supply. It is almost impossible in this world that we live in. The soil is just too depleted, and there are way too many chemicals being sprayed on our foods, and there's way too many processed foods and things just being created and then called food. So we know that we're not getting the nutrients that we're supposed to be getting. So Ningxia Red is way up there on the recommended supplements for anybody to take. MuPro, this is a supplement from Young Living. It's a chewable tablet. It tastes really good. This is something that I take seasonally just to uphold immunity in specific seasons. We know when we're outside in the sunlight getting vitamin D and activity and doing more and we're more active, that our immune function is higher. We know that. That's common sense. I don't know why we look to other places for immunity. I really don't. So we know that we are healthier in the summer. We know that we feel better in the summer. And we know what happens when the colder temperatures hit and when kids go back to school and they're picking their noses and they're touching everything and, they're all disgusting. Kids are disgusting. We all know what happens. We're getting less sunlight. We're getting less activity. We're sitting more. We're indoors more. So everything goes down. Health kind of plummets in those certain seasons. So this is something that I take during those seasons. I still try to combat all of those things and avoid those things as much as possible. But the world we live in, it's kind of hard. So this is a good one to start taking around that time of year, around the time when kids go back to school and we're indoors more and we're not as active. This contains some of the most powerful immune stimulants known. The wolfberry is one of them. The Ningxia wolfberry is found in the Ningxia province of China. So Ningxia Red is made from the Ningxia wolfberry. ImmuPro also contains wolfberry. It contains beta-glucan from 3 different types of mushrooms. One I cannot pronounce well, so forgive me. Reishi mushroom, maitake, and agaricus something. 3 different types of mushrooms that are high in beta-glucan. Numerous studies show that these botanicals stimulate both cell-mediated and humoral immunity. So you remember what those were, right? Those were the two ways that your acquired immune system functions. Humoral immunity, that's your antibodies floating around in the blood and the lymph, and your cell-mediated immunity, or your cell-to-cell, hand-to-hand combat, your specific cells that go in and target and destroy other types of cells that have been compromised. These botanicals stimulate both of those processes. ImmuPro also contains zinc, copper, selenium, and a small amount of melatonin. Levels of melatonin decrease with age. So the older we get, the less melatonin that we produce. So a lot of people supplement with melatonin, and it's not something you should take large amounts of. We won't talk about sleep aids in this group. Maybe we will. I don't know. If I get off on that, it'll be a really long one. So to use ImmuPro, you would take 1 tablet before bed because of the small amount of melatonin. So that's something that you want to take before bed. And like I said, this is something that I take seasonally. So around the time the kids start going back to school, that's when you would want to start taking this one. Inner defense. So ImmuPro and Inner Defense have a lot of the same functions. This one is a capsule that's going to include thieves, oregano, and thyme oil. So there are essential oils in this supplement. And you're going to take this one. Who should take this? Somebody that's wanting to support the body in healing naturally and as quickly as possible. So we're looking at, I'm not telling you that taking Inner Defense is going to cure your flu or cure anything else. What I'm telling you is when your body is low and your immunity is low, it needs a little extra support, and that's what this supplement is for. So ImmuPro is something you could kind of take seasonally to kind of combat things you may come in contact with and kind of uphold immunity. Inner Defense is going to be a more acute type of situation, if that makes sense. So you would take 1 to 2 capsules a day, and for optimal results, you would also take Life 9 probiotic with it. So a probiotic is going to help you and help your body and work with Inner Defense. And you would take the probiotic before you go to bed. So that is the supplements and the oils I wanted to cover. We covered a little bit about the immune system and just a basic elementary level of how it works. I say elementary because there's so much more to it. Like I'm skipping over stuff in my notes, and my notes were still very elementary because I don't think we need to go that deep. It's very difficult to understand, and once it gets to a certain point, I don't understand it either, if I'm being honest. So your immune system was given to you. You have an innate immune system you're born with. Your skin and your mucous membranes and certain cells in the body, certain functions of the body are all innately, you're born with it. And you have that already. It's protective. It's part of your immune system. And then you have your adaptive or acquired immune system, which is going to be something that develops over time. We get some of it through the placenta in the womb. We get some of it through breast milk. A lot of people don't even get that, right? So that's short-lived. After those things are gone and over with, then your body has to develop these things on its own. It develops this acquired immune system by coming into contact with things. So it's a delicate balance in coming into contact with things and letting the body fight it naturally and helping the body get over something more quickly and dealing with symptoms. And we don't want to talk about dealing with symptoms. We want to talk about supporting the systems to take care of the symptoms on its own. So that's what the body's capable of doing. That was a little bit about the immune system. I hope that made sense. It was just kind of out of my randomness talking about the immune system, but the oils and the supplements that can support the immune system are very beneficial. So that's what you can use to help uphold immunity. And I hope you guys found it very helpful, and have a great weekend.